Hi, I'm Rebecca Celeste. Thank you for joining me in today's absolute breakdown of Tadasana. It's also known as Mountain Pose or Samasthiti. To begin with, let's start by looking at our feet. If you're new to yoga, you're going to want to begin with your feet hips distance apart or 2 fist width. You can just measure that out, bring your fists together. If you're a little bit more advanced or if you have good stability, good balance, you can bring your feet in as close as is comfortable for you. I do encourage you to keep a little bit of a gap between the heels to try to keep the edges of your feet parallel to the edges of the mat. So with those feet in alignment, let's lift the toes to activate the arches. With that, we can take a little bit of a rock back and forth, find a nice balance point between all 4 corners of both feet, and then we can let the toes drop down, making sure we don't lose the activation of the arch. Then we're going to lift the kneecaps. We're going to inwardly rotate the upper thighs, and then in the mind, externally rotate the lower part of the legs. This is going to keep our knees in alignment, but it also helps open up the lower back. So now, with our legs, we're going to focus on bringing the pelvis up, belly button to the spine, and drop the tailbone down to the floor. Our hips should be like a bowl now. They could carry water without dripping in any direction. And we're going to inhale, puff up the chest, making sure our ribcage don't point out, but are still nice and engaged, our core is engaged, chest up, shoulder blades rolling down and back the spine. We're going to activate our arms, get really long with our spine. We're going to think about someone pulling the string at the top of our head to get air between every single vertebrae in our spine. And we're going to make sure that our head is in alignment with the chest. We don't want it to come forward. It's very natural for those of us that sit at keyboards throughout the day, hunched over reading books, for our heads to come a bit forward. So really think about bringing your chin back and keeping it parallel to the ground. And with everything activated from the top of your head all the way to your toes, fingertips included, this is our Tadasana Mountain Pose or Samasthiti. A modification to keep in mind is for pregnancy. If you're going through a pregnancy, go ahead and start with that hips distance apart, or if you're feeling a little bit uncomfortable, step as wide as you need to really feel comfortable, and then you can go ahead and get the feet activated, activate the legs, lifting up the kneecap, rolling the inner thighs in, the calves out a bit, and you're going to still want to try to keep that balance in the hips, so try to point that tailbone down to the floor, pelvis up a bit, keeping the rib cage in and the chest up. Shoulder blades back and down the spine, hands activated, spine nice and long, and the chin parallel to the ground. This is your modification for pregnancy. Another modification for the Tadasana or Samasthiti is taken into consideration if you have extreme forward curvature of the spine, also known as lordosis. If this is the case, you're going to want to come to a wall, and to get that nice even pelvis, that bowl that can carry water without spilling in any direction, you're going to want to come to the wall and really push into the wall to help push that spine down, that tailbone down to the ground, and really use those abdominals to pull the pelvis up a bit. And from here you can push back into the wall. Use that as your tool to find your very strong Tadasana. Now, if you have extreme backwards curvature of the spine, or kyphosis, you're going to want to take a different approach, but again, you're going to use your wall as a tool, and we're going to bring in a pillow as well. So you're going to take the pillow and have it just at the bottom part of your shoulder blades, and you're going to push into the pillow with your spine, and you're going to try to push your shoulder blades and shoulders back to help go against that curvature. And from here, you can find your Tadasana. One final modification is if you have severe weakness, fatigue, balance problems, or paralysis, then we're going to take a chair. For the first 3, the weakness, fatigue, and the balance issues, you might just start by using a chair to help be a little bit of a training wheel. So then you can find your Tadasana, you can bring the chair in front of you, if that works best. Activate the feet, activate the legs, roll the pelvis back to the tailbone points down, the pelvis is up. Keep in the belly button and the rib cage. Inhale, puff up the chest, roll the shoulder blades back down the spine. Feel a long string pulling up the spine, and you can just let your hands give you a bit of balance on the back of the chair. If it works better for you, you can put the chair to the side. Whatever works best for you. Yoga is a personal process. It's a personal practice. So you need to listen to your body and see what works best for you. If standing is a bit too much, fatigue, balance, or paralysis, whatever the situation might be, you can even find a Tadasana in the chair by sitting down. So with this one, we're going to let the lower body sit as nice and upright as possible. Let it just relax, but we're going to take the upper body and really focus. Again, you can still focus on putting your tailbone down into the floor, into the chair. You can focus on bringing that pelvis up a little bit, getting that nice even hips. Bring the belly button to the spine. Inhale, puff up the chest. Exhale, roll the shoulders and shoulder blades down the spine. And pretend there's a long string pulling up the spine, keeping the chin back so it's not jutting forward. And we're going to activate the arms. And here we have a seated Tadasana or Samasthiti, also known as Mountain Pose. Thanks for joining me in today's Absolute Breakdown. Namaste.